Technology. It's amazing how far we've come in such a short time. Being a Gen Xer allows me to know both worlds, a world with and without technology. We as Gen Xers can remember times with no cell phones and just going out with our friends, and the social connection was real and in person. But we're also the generation that had the first computers, and I use that term very loosely. Who of the Gen Xers out there remembers the Radio Shack and Commodore 64 machines? And let's not forget video games like Pong and Pac-Man, big difference to Call of Duty. One thing has been constant growth and impact of technology in our lives. Think of tech pioneers like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and so many more, too many to name, who started all this. But now there's pioneers everywhere you turn. And so let's not forget, with technology, there's a major bonus, which is connection. And how do we tie that all together with the people we're trying to reach? And that's where my story comes in today. It goes back to my time in retail, where I was working in Pottery Barn. And at the time I was in the stores, and a lovely woman came in and bought this chair that just would not fit in her car. It was called the Seagrass chair. I'll never forget it. It was gorgeous. So she asked if we had a service to get it to her house, and we didn't. So I offered to bring it out to her myself. And when I did, I saw that where the chair was going, it would fit with some other products that we had. So I told her about them, and she came in and she saw them in person, and she bought them the next day. And the reason I was able to do that is because I saw where she lived. I knew something about her, and I wouldn't have known that without actually meeting her, seeing her home. But there's other ways now through technology that we can know and learn things about our customers. And that's where our guests come in today. So in this series about technology, we want to keep our members and listeners on the forefront of technology. And we're going to introduce you to a team leading the way in digital connection. So let's start exploring. Welcome. My name is Fran Groesbeck, and you are listening to the Cookware Manufacturers Association podcast. One of the CMA's goals is to keep our members informed, and today we are excited to have Chris Bartling and Michael Jaskulsky of Undigital. In this podcast, we explore trends in digital technology, where we are headed, what to watch, and what not to miss. You can find out more about Undigital, that's Undigital, at undigital.com. And you can find out more about the CMA at cookware.org. Hi, Chris. Hi, Michael. Welcome to our podcast.
Hi, Fran.
Hey, Fran.
Where are you guys joining us from today?
So I'm joining you guys from our HQ in Baltimore, Maryland.
And I'm joining from Tampa, Florida, because somebody has to be down here to handle the weather.
I'm jealous. I don't even want to ask what the temperature is today down there. Well, thank you both for joining us today. And this topic of technology is very near and dear to my heart, because some people may not know, but I am a tech geek and I love this stuff. So before we dive into the details and trends of what you guys do and where digital technology is headed, can you share with our audience how you all met and how Undigital got its start?
I'll tell you how Undigital got its start first. We're part of a parent company, about a 350 employee organization. Like I mentioned, we're based out of the greater Baltimore area. We have facilities here in Dallas and also in California. We have one of our own e-commerce organizations as well that services hundreds of thousands of customers. And that brand in particular is called Nation's Photo Lab. It's one of the largest photo manufacturers and retailers in the US. But Undigital got its start really with an idea by our two co-founders, Ryan Millman and Corey Plowman. And for us and our organization as a whole, we've always been really obsessed with marketing and pushing the envelope around innovative marketing. But it's a really crowded space. There are a lot of technologies for every part of the customer journey. And we didn't want to be the 1,000th email marketing platform. So we honed in on one part of the customer journey that we thought was really, really valuable and really wasn't being done today. And we thought there was just a really big opportunity trying to seek out that blue ocean opportunity. So we focused on the final touch point of the customer journey, which we call the unboxing experience, right? So let me tell you how innovative the technology really is. With our solution, we let e-commerce retailers really deliver a one-to-one message at this exact moment, because we know what happens when a customer gets their package. There's a dopamine kick. They're really excited. And we thought, well, what can we do here to provide real value? Because consumers demand a personalized experience across all touch points nowadays. And we met Chris through one of our clients, actually. Chris worked at an agency representing one of our clients. And I think I can speak for Chris that, he really took to our technology.
One of my roles there was a company that nobody's heard of, but everybody should know about, called Triad Retail Media. Some of your CMA members will know me from my time in housewares. I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but I spent 2 years building products for marketing technologies, kind of a focus on hard goods. And Triad, we ran two things. If you went on Walmart.com in the last 15 years and you bought something, you saw an ad, that was Triad. CVS, GameStop, and then the one that I helped build up for both digital ads and in-store technologies was Bed Bath & Beyond. As obviously CMA is going to be a big part of that. I'll talk more about that later. But when I was looking at text, I was looking at everything from keyword searches to AR experiences, item recognition at stores. And then along comes Michael and says, hey, I got this. And I looked at it. I'm like, there's no competition. It's that moment that brands really can build off their customer acquisitions. And it's smart technology. It's like, it's we'll talk about it a little more, but what I found was it's based on POS information, it's targeted, it's personal, and it can be scaled across large things. So it kept just at the back of my mind, and I was like, I'm in. You're building this, I'm in on the team. And that's how Michael let me join the team, and I'm here.
I've heard something in both of your answers that ties to what I felt happened in my story, which is the personal connection. And now with what's just happened in COVID in our lovely 2020, connection is what people are craving and feeling, that everything they do, from buying product to just reaching out to a customer service agency, they want that connection. So that's incredible. I love the idea of this personalized experience. And Chris, you just touched on that, that the CMA, we've known each other a long time, and you've known our members for years. So I want you to share a story with our listeners of the day at that annual CMA meeting where this idea of digital connection, and I won't spoil it, I can hear the word in my head, that it really hit home for you.
So people know me. I used to run the Chantal product division. I ran HSN when they delivered things like Bon Appetit magazine. And then I went and helped Elog Coding, direct competitor of somebody else I know in this call, launch into the US. So I know I got to be at a lot of CMA. And the one that hit me was Naples, Florida, 2018. And we're sitting there and we're going over the industry. And, I've sat on those flights. I've done details over to China to work really hard to get products. So I know when Meyer and Allclad and Calphalon are talking about this disruptor, if everybody remembers the term disruptor, and I'm sitting there going, why are we using such a negative term, disruptor, when we start talking about copper fusion, Gotham steel, all these ceramic pans? And it struck me as, and I remember raising my hand and going, why are we calling it a disruptor? Their marketing. I understand we all have great products and we have a tendency to feel that they're superior. But the problem is they were going out, they were telling a story. They were reaching people that
connecting. Yeah.
And so I left there and I was like, And then I started reaching out, looking to people. And that's where I came across Triad. And Triad was like, hey, we know technology. Our problem is we're so used to brands like Johnson & Johnson, like Procter & Gamble. But our problem is we're trying to be able to take that technology and shift it to hard goods, i.e. Bed Bath & Beyond. They just got partnership with Bed Bath & Beyond, and we did some amazing technologies to help them. And everybody on this call probably knows what happened in Bed Bath & Beyond in Q3. So I came on board, I helped with that. I came across this, and this is something that can really help out not only cookware, but the housewares industry. It's something that as they drive e-commerce, they start to talk about market retention. They can start looking at numbers. They're going to start being the disruptors because they're going to have access to these technologies.
Excellent. Well, I thank you for sharing that. And I remember that disruptor meeting. I remember that. You're right. And we shouldn't look at these things as negatives. They should open their eyes and say, what's happening here? And what happened there was they spoke the language. They were connecting. They were saying what people were looking to hear. And again, going back to the pandemic, this whole idea of connection and personalized connection and finding a ways to connect with your customers is key. But the focus seems to be for some on finding new customers, and businesses are overlooking marketing to and engaging with their current audiences. What are you guys seeing as big misses by companies on this engaging with current customers? Do you see anything happening with the people you're talking to?
You'd be surprised at some companies, massive e-commerce companies that don't even have a basic CRM in place. But even the companies that do and really understand who their customers are and how to market to them, and don't get me wrong, these companies are doing a great job, speaking directly to their customers across most touch points, but they miss on the most exciting touch point, the unboxing moment. Early on when we first, were starting, we ordered from 30, 40, 50 different retailers, different companies. And typically in those e-commerce orders, there's at most a white packing slip. And sure, the customer's excited about the product that they ordered, but there's so much untapped potential to deliver a personalized one-to-one message at this exact moment to retain the customer and turn them into a loyal customer and even a brand advocate. So, we're really excited about our technology because retargeting is so valuable in the marketing world. It's typically got the highest return on ad spend of any type of marketing, retargeting a warm lead. But the package itself, the package the end user receives, has really been a big blind spot. And we've realized that nobody has been able to provide relevancy into the package, which is a really valuable opportunity.
And I'd like to piggyback on that a little bit because in 2019, I went to IHA and I would talk to a lot of CMA members and then other household companies supporting Bed Bath & Beyond's new efforts. And, luckily I get to get really frank conversations. And there was some traditional longtime owners of brands that were just saying, Chris, I get it. I hear that's what happens, but I feel like I'm just taking $10,000 and throwing it in a black hole. I don't know where it's going. So that came back, and you'll see that not only Bed Bath & Beyond, but Undigital, where's that money going? You're going to see all this data come back in. You see your ROIs, you see things lifting. But in our industry, what I was seeing at that 2019 IHA was people just didn't know what they didn't know. Johnson & Johnson and these big power companies are using these techs, and our industry just wasn't even aware that they were there. We had one guy that was telling me, Chris, you don't need digital ads to promote a fan. Everybody knows what an electric fan does. And I said, yeah, but do you know the person who buys that keyword search, they're the first that pops up and they're 80% more likely to sell their fan? And the guy looked at me and he said, you can buy those keyword searches? And I think that's what we're really dealing with here. We just don't know what we don't know. And I hope that Michael and I can help get everybody up to speed really fast. And here's an opportunity that at Undigital that can really help take what they do with their new acquisitions, turn them into repeat customers, and then in the end, switch them to brand advocates where the real money's made.
Yeah, and Fran, just to emphasize on your basic question, what are the biggest misses? Package inserts has been around for a long time. We're not new to the game per se, but it's always been a batch and blast model where you're sending the same message to every single customer. And oftentimes that message on a particular customer is a miss. You're only going to get so many hits out of sending out 10,000, 50,000, 100,000 plus inserts of the same message to everybody. And by being able to talk to each of your customers individually to send them something personalized, send them something that they want to look at that's relevant to them, that's what we're trying to achieve here. And that's what these companies have been missing to this point inside of the e-commerce package.
Well, thanks, guys. That really ties in well to where we're headed. So I just want to take a quick break to remind everyone that you're listening to the Cookware Manufacturers Associates podcast with special guests, Chris and Michael from Undigital, sharing insights on the important trends to watch in the digital tech world. You can learn more about Undigital on their website, undigital.com. And you can learn more about the CMA from our website, cookware.org. So let's get back to the podcast. You guys had started to touch on this personalized experience. And Michael, you just brought in the idea of that, the inserts and the unboxing experience. So let's talk about who does it. That's e-commerce, right? And the pandemic sped up a lot of trends last year that were already in the works. For e-commerce, it got a rocket boost to the forefront of how consumers shop. People who were leery about e-commerce had to rely on it. And those of us who love it, we now do it 100%. So they're going to continue to rely on this form of shopping. This is going to go into 2021 and beyond. So what are your thoughts on the e-commerce boost and the successes and spotlights?
Well, it's interesting when you work with Walmart and you work with a company that like Triad, who sees where the roadmaps are. You see Google's, Facebook roadmaps, where everybody's going. We weren't supposed to be where we are until after 2025. But two things majorly happened to just boost e-commerce. First one, COVID. COVID boosted. But right before COVID, another important thing happened. Direct-to-consumer brands who were using Shopify to power their e-commerce sites, Walmart allowed them to have access to Walmart Marketplace, which meant they went from selling in like a little pond to selling in an ocean. So those two things, they went from an ocean, and then the ocean got really big because of the virus. So it was those two major shifts that allowed smaller companies to just expand, dropship companies just expand on e-commerce sites.
It's an excellent point. And you throw in the mix the power of Amazon and what that's mean to people. I mean, I must have 20 devices in my house that I just order from. I go, hey, I need Alexa. Oh, wait, she might open up. So for e-commerce, and what you touch on, Chris, with this boost, and that's really interesting. That wasn't supposed to really hit till after 2025. Look at the impact of the last year. Talk about speeding things up, right? Yeah. So especially for those who are 100% e-commerce, right? They face different challenges. For other who have omni-channel, they can use their different platforms. But when you're 100% e-commerce, how do you bring it all together? How do you continue to grow and build those customer connections we've been talking about?
Well, marketers want to and really need to talk to their customers directly throughout all touch points. And that includes the final touch point, as I mentioned before, the unboxing moment. Our solution, we call it personalized packaging. It enables e-commerce marketers to do just that. Think of the Undigital solution very similar to any other digital marketing tool, such as Facebook or Google, but instead of a digital impression, personalized packaging delivers a hyper-targeted, hyper-segmented, one-to-one personalized physical impression. The Undigital solution, it's comprised of two components. There's a marketing component, a cloud-based marketing app, and a hardware component, which are printers we put into the fulfillment center to actually automate this process and print out physical pieces in real time for each box. E-commerce companies can personalize a dynamic insert for each and every one of their customers, based off of known information, and deliver things such as product recommendations based off of what was ordered, being able to trigger off of order number, providing something very relevant for your first-time customer to get them to order number 2, driving people back into store if they're focused on omni-channel activation, referral programs, loyalty, targeting by location, app downloads, all very personalized things. And marketing teams will completely control the creative and can test tons of different variations of templates and campaigns and audiences to keep refining the system and driving the best results. So in a nutshell, essentially, we want to make the packaging experience important to e-commerce marketers. And it kind of reminds me of your Disney story, Chris.
Yeah. So I always talk about the unboxing experience as like opening a Christmas present. Well, my story is actually a Christmas present. So I'm going to put my little geek hat on, and I'm a big Star Wars guy, and I've been a Boba Fett guy since I was little. So we're going to go off track here. But my wife got me a Jango Fett figure from DisneyStore.com. So DisneyStore.com, she just packed up the back box. So I opened it up, opened the box, unwrap it, and there was a pretty nice experience there. They were almost there. I opened up, there's Jango Fett. There's this really nice tissue paper from Disney, but then there's an insert. On this insert, first off, they were trying to sell me a Disney Discover card. If they would have used our system, the POS information would have said, hey, Chris already is making this purchase with the Disney card. Serve him a vacation instead, or serve him something else. And the second thing, the graphic on the insert was of little girls dressed as princesses. So because of who I am, I got to be called Princess all day on Christmas Day. Hey, Princess, how do you like your Star Wars figure? Hey, Princess. Where if they would have used a smart insert technology, first off, they could have used my name. Hey, Chris, thanks for buying The Mandalorian. Could have had a Star Wars graphic, and then served me an ad that was appropriate to myself. I always kind of use the analogy as, if you don't have smart inserts, if you are selling ice scrapers and you have the coolest ice scraper and the coolest graphic in the world, and you send that ice scraper insert into a e-commerce package in Florida, you're not selling any ice scrapers.
That's my favorite story. When you introduced me on Undigital, I'm like, and because it makes so much sense, right? So what you guys are talking about here with these, people hear inserts and they think, once you see this, and if you're listening to this podcast, you have to go check this out on undigital.com or reach out to Michael and Chris to learn more. One thing we get challenged in digital technology all the time, you guys have mentioned it a few times, is ROI, right? If I'm paying for pay-per-click, I'm paying for SEO, how do I know what I'm getting for my money? Well, you can get some clicks and impression numbers and these different rates. With this platform, you're getting real specific. Now think about Disney. Think about how many people they did that to, right? And now I'm not just targeting Disney, but everybody does that. I just actually had a package come in. I ordered coffee, and the ad in the box was for the coffee I ordered. Well, I ordered it, so you already got me. Give me a different coffee. How many of those are wasted? We're lucky that those got in the box to begin with, right, Chris? But how many of those are wasted? You guys this is targeted and focused, and it's true customer engagement. This is a game changer to me, and it's why I was so excited to talk to you. So on that, and because our members are our number one asset and the reason we do everything, how can CMA members, and our listeners, of course, benefit from the power of this personalized packaging platform from Undigital?
Well, let's talk about it, because CMA, we're talking cookware, we're talking large items. Okay, as they reach out, so there's a lot of dropship programs out there. So a couple things happen in dropship programs. So Bed Bath & Beyond may say, I'll take this cookware set, but you want to also sell the add-ons. You want to sell the gadgets. We don't have space for that. We'd love to have you on the e-commerce site, but then they shift into dropship programs. So here's an opportunity that when you are dropshipping and you do sell a fry pan, hey, check out our gadgets. If you sell a fry pan, or let's say you do a starter set, a try me set, sell them stock pots. So it's those common things that we all know connect into each other. Simple. Hey, thanks for trying our fry pan. Thanks for trying our gadgets. We try this. You and I, thanks for buying the nonstick. Use these nonstick gadgets. Don't use metal. Try our new silicone gadgets. Very important. A message you get right across, easy sell. Plus, you can lead them straight back. Another thing is I talked about dropship programs. So some of the large companies out there have their own warehouse. But there's a couple things that happen. If they have dropship programs, they may have Amazon, they may have their direct to consumer, and they may have Walmart. Now, a lot of people start to go, well, you can't have any inserts in Walmart. You can't have any inserts in Amazon. That's not true. There's rules. Amazon, you cannot have inserts that are somebody else's. So if you're Meyer or you're one of the big cookware companies, groups, any of those guys, you can serve up ads for your brands. Second thing you cannot do is you cannot offer something to get rewards. And the third thing that also runs into Walmart, you have to make it feel like they're on the same place. You can't serve up ads if the item is purchased on Amazon, take them to your site. You can't serve up ads for Walmart and send them to someplace else. So if the product's purchased by Walmart, they want you to come back to Walmart. What our system does is, because it's data-driven, we can identify, hey, that item was purchased at Bed Bath & Beyond. They need to have a Bed Bath & Beyond logo, and they need to go to a Bed Bath & Beyond URL to make the next purchase. We automatically see that in the data. Our system prints it out. Bed Bath & Beyond, thanks for buying the cookware set. Try this out. If it's their own site, we can make sure we print out the correct graphics for them. If it's Walmart, we print out graphics. So the system not only targets correctly by zip codes, by SKUs, by item, by categories, but we can also identify things like merchant category codes and queue off that. So it's automated. So right with Bash and Blast, it's impossible to sit there and go, okay, I got 100 inserts and this person's trying to get stuff shipped out. It's insert 550. Can't happen. The system needs to do it. They just need to click on the same barcode they do to ship the product. Shipping label prints out, the correct insert prints out. They put it in the box it up, and send it. It's that simple. And then on the back end, you have the tools that say this campaign was served, this campaign resulted in so many people coming back, and this is how much money we made. Now you can kind of see why I was so interested in joining the team. Which poor Michael, when I was at Triad, I put him through so many hoops just because I know what Housewares members need. I know what the brands need. They need something simple to set up. Can't be complicated. Has to be able to handle their marketing or ad serve. So the portal to set up is very similar to any other digital portal for that marketing people are used to. And then the analytics on the back end, again, simple. So we went through his paces and they've done their job, and it's something these guys can use.
Yeah, and Fran, to elaborate a little more on your comment on ROI and Taco and Chris, it's, before Undigital, it was a batch and blast model. And the only way you would be able to determine if a campaign was successful is by way of promo code redemptions, scans on a QR code, or clicks to a vanity URL. And while that's fine, it's not always that somebody's going to utilize that promo code. They could find a different one online that's similar or better. They could just sit on their desk for a little bit and they might not use it and just make a purchase. With our system, since we're capturing a customer ID, non-PII data, but we're able to, capture that, we're able to determine that this customer received this campaign and then they made a subsequent purchase. We're able to tie that back to that individual campaign so that you truly know if that campaign was a success or not. Whereas before you kind of were guessing, and a lot of times you might have thought that a campaign was not successful because there weren't that many promo code redemptions, but in fact there were a lot of subsequent sales, subsequent purchases from that campaign, and you could have shut it off, and then you would have lost a lot of potential repeat customers in the future. Whereas now, with our solution, you can truly know and attribute all of those sales back to that particular campaign and scale that campaign going forward, knowing that it's worked well.
Yeah. And then look at those retention numbers, because then you start to see retention numbers. So when the C-level people come in and ask to look at the P&L at this time of year, you're not starting from zero. You can say, okay, we got 100,000 new customers in e-commerce. It looks like we're going to retain 60 to 75% of those. That's a nice foundation to build off of for 2021 instead of starting from zero again. You don't want to go out and try to acquire 100,000 new customers again.
I think that is such a huge message right now in marketing that is a miss. I'm actually seeing that in a lot of people I'm talking to when I engage with someone new and I say, okay, what are your current customer engagement tools? Sometimes there's dead silence. And I don't understand that, because if you don't have a plan for your customer engagement and your current customers, no matter how many new ones you attract, how are you going to keep them if you don't know how to retain? It's like this vicious cycle. They don't realize that they need to really pay more attention to.
Well, it's funny. I always use football teams. That's why you have season ticket holders. Could you imagine trying to fill, I know COVID is different, but a normal season, trying to fill a stadium with new fans every week? First off, you're eventually going to run out of new fans, and the new fan acquisition is a lot more expensive than repeat, and repeat pay more because they know how to bring back the money to buy hot dogs and beers and stuff because they want to be there. And eventually, if you always requiring new fans, eventually your marketplace is going to be run out of new fans.
That's an excellent point. And you can't assume that an existing customer knows everything that you have. And this is a way. The other thing I thought of as we were talking, this is also a very environmentally friendly application. There's no waste. There's no inserts lost in a warehouse. And like you said, Chris, sometimes it can be thousands of these just wasted packs. And when someone discovers them, it's too late to use them. This is focused. It's true, real customer engagement. And like I said before, I think this really is a game changer because the unboxing experience due to the explosion of e-commerce is critical for all markets, but especially the houses market. With what we've seen, we've been an important fixture in what's happened last year because people were fixing up their homes and people are fixing up their kitchens. So grabbing that opportunity when you have that unboxing experience is incredible. Well, this has been awesome. And I thank you so much, Chris and Michael, for joining me today. You'll have to come back and tell us more on how it goes and keep us posted on what's on the digital horizon. So, Michael, thank you so much for joining us, and send our best to Brian. And Chris, thank you too. As always, I mean, known each other a long time, so great. Great to talk to you today.
Thanks for letting me, the CMA guys are close to my heart. Yeah. Some of them laughed at my stupid jokes over the years. So I don't take that takes a lot by itself. So I appreciate let them know here because they're close to my heart, and this is something that can help them a lot.
Yeah. Thank you, Fran. And thank you, Penny, and to all the CMA members.
You got it, guys. Thank you so much. And for our members, be on the lookout for an update from us. There's an incredible offer that Undigital is going to present to CM members exclusively, and our way of building another partnership and connection for our members. So that's a wrap for this podcast. You've been listening to the Cookware Manufacturers Association podcast. Thank you again to Chris and Michael of Undigital for joining us today. My name is Fran Groesbeck, and we're recording this podcast for the Cookware Manufacturers Association. You can find my contact information and more at our website, cookware.org. You will find this podcast and others in the member section of the cookware.org website, as well as on iTunes, iHeartRadio, CastBox, Stitcher, Google Play, and so many more. At the CMA, we cannot say it enough. Our members are our number one priority, and the association is a proven valuable resource, giving our members access to exclusive engineering standards with a long and trusted industry history since 1922, timely statistical reporting, resources for retailers, one of my favorite audiences, and the best members network in the industry. And of course, important information on topics critical to our industry via podcasts like this one. Stay safe, be well, and happy cooking, everyone.